Now, if you've updated your OpenClaw in the last 48 hours, there's a good chance your dashboard is throwing 503 errors and your WhatsApp channel is just completely dead. So don't panic, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it, but here's the thing. Underneath those packaging bugs is the most important OpenClaw release ever shipped. There's 12 break-in changes, there's 30 plus security fixes, and also a brand new plugin ecosystem. And they basically ripped out the entire engine and rebuilt it while the car was moving. So I've gone through every line of the changelog, tested the update, hit the bugs and fixed them, and I'm going to save you hours. So let's get into it. So let's just start with what you actually need to know right now. So if you ran the command to install the latest OpenClaw and landed on version 3.22, you probably hit one or both of these. A bug number 1, which is your dashboard is gone and you get a 503 service unavailable. So the entire disk control UI directory was missing from the npm package and the front end just wasn't shipped. The bug number 2, which is the what's up, which is essentially dead silent. So your logs will say the plugin is not found. And what happened? Well, they removed the WhatsApp extension from the package because it was supposed to ship as a standalone OpenClaw WhatsApp module, but that module wasn't published yet, so the old code was deleted and the replacement didn't exist and your WhatsApp channel vanished. So here's the fix. A hotfix, which is the version 3.23, which just dropped within 24 hours. And you can just run these 3 commands. The npm to install the latest OpenClaw, then run the OpenClaw doctor -- non -interactive, and then run OpenClaw gateway restart. So that will pull the 3.23 version, which patches the issues from 3.22. And if you want to play it safe, you can just pin it to 3.13 until you've tested in a staging environment. And look, this is a reminder, the OpenClaw latest is not OpenClaw stable, so if you're running agents in production, pin your version always. Now let's talk about why this update is worth the pain. The single biggest change in the version 3.22 is ClawHub. So when you run OpenClaw plugins install, it no longer defaults to npm. It routes to ClawHub first, and which is OpenClaw's own native package registry. So this matters for 3 reasons. The first is trust. npm was always a borrowed house for OpenClaw plugins. There was no vetting, no trust signals, and no way to know if a plugin was legit or not. So ClawHub adds native verification, it adds versioning, and also a discovery built into every install. The second reason is the cross-platform skills. So ClawHub supports Claude, Codex, and Cursor bundles. And you can find install skills that work across platforms, not just OpenClaw. So if you're using multiple AI tools, this is massive. And then the third reason is a real SDK. So the old monolithic OpenClaw extension API is gone. So there's no deprecation period, and that's just gone. So the new surface is OpenClaw plugin SDK, which is modular, it's testable, and with proper helpers for plugin authors. Somebody actually done a live demo of this during a stream, and they searched ClawHub from the CLI, they installed some skills on the fly, and they started to build a custom ClawHub tab in their dashboard, and it works, and it's fast, and it's where the ecosystem is going. So this one is going to make a lot of self-hosted users very happy. So previously, every time your gateway restarted, it recompiled bundle extension TypeScript from scratch. So if you're running WhatsApp or Telegram channels, the code starts could take about 30 seconds and sometimes even over a minute. So every restart was just very painful. So in the new version, that's just gone. So they eliminated the TypeScript recompilation and they added a model pre-warming before channels spin up, and lazy loaded everything they could across the stack and added agent catalog caching. So the result was the code starts in seconds, not tens of seconds. It's just literally in a few seconds. So if you're running OpenClaw on a Mac Mini, and this is the kind of change that will just compound. So every restart and every cron cycle, every gateway health check is just faster. So 7 new model providers have been added in one release. So OpenAI GPT 5.4 is now the default, and it has a 1 million token context window. and it's forward compatible with 5.4 mini and 5.4 nano for cost optimization. Then Anthropic Vertex, clawed through Google Vertex AI natively, so if you're enterprise and need GCP compliance, this is your path. Minimax M2.7, which was upgraded from M2.5 with higher speeds, and there's multiple people in the community that are running this through Olama completely free as a sub-agent model. And you can run Minimax M2.7 cloud locally at zero cost. But here's what actually matters, the per agent thinking controls. So you can now set thinking levels per agent to low, medium or high. You can run your orchestrator on full opus level thinking, while your sub-agents use fast, minimal reasoning. And again, you can just use different strengths for different jobs, and with the per agent thinking, you control exactly how much compute each agent burns. So let me just hit the new features that actually change your day-to-day. So these side questions, so if you just type in BTW followed by a question, you get a quick answer without changing context, without triggering any tools, and without polluting your main conversation. So you're deep in a coding task and you need to look up something, well, you can just run the command that you see at the bottom and the answer comes back instantly and your main context is untouched. This sounds very small, but in practice, it's one of those features you use constantly, and once you know it exists, you will use it. The other feature is the 3 new web search providers. So you now have Exa with native date filters and context extraction, Tavily with dedicated search and extract tools, and Firecrawl with search and scrape. So these sit alongside Brave, giving you 4 options for research agents. And if you're building agents that pull live info, such as competitive analysis, market research, or content creation, having multiple search backends means you pick the right tool for the job. The other feature is the pluggable Sandbox backends. So Docker is no longer your only option. OpenShell gives you mirror and remote workspace modes. And there's a new SSH Sandbox backend. So if Docker has been a pain point, and for a lot of self-hosted setups it is, you now have alternatives. The other feature is the browser profiles. So Chrome DevTools integration now supports Brave, Edge, and all Chromium browsers. So if you're doing browser automation, you're no longer locked into Chrome. And lastly, the agent timeout, which is 48 hours. So the default jumped from 600 seconds to 48 hours. So the long-running tasks no longer get killed mid-execution. So before we get into the security stuff, let me just mention that OpenClaw is very powerful, and for most finders, it's just a mess. And there's unsafe ClawHub skills, there's security vulnerabilities, and there's runaway agents burning through API credits. And I've seen people turn a promising setup into a $600 mistake in a single weekend. So I run OpenClaw securely, and my agents handle outreach, lead gen, content and inbox, and without the chaos, without the coding, without the horror stories. So I built this inside my school community. The core membership teaches you how to run OpenClaw the right way, and there's no coding required. The premium gives you the Atlas persona, which is your AI chief of staff. You can deploy it in 15 minutes, and there's 11 copy-paste models, proven playbooks for cold email, lead gen, content and inbox. So yeah, let's get back to the update. So I'm not going to read all 30 plus security patches, but I'm going to highlight the ones that matter the most because some of these were serious vulnerabilities. So the Windows SMB credential leak. So if you were running OpenClaw on Windows, remote file URLs could trigger outbound SMB credential handshakes, and that's credential exfiltration blocked. So the second thing is the SSRF pinning hardened. So server-side request forgery protections tightened across proxy tunnels, the hangful filler escape. So this was a sneaky one. The blank Unicode code points could be injected into approval prompts, visually invisible, and you'd approve an action thinking you were approving something else, and that's now escaped across the gateway and macOS native UI. So device pairing bound to profile, token rotation hardened, and JQ removed from safe bin allow list. So the list just goes on. There's 30 plus patches in one release, and the OpenClaw team is clearly investing in making this production trustworthy, not just feature rich. Now to talk about the platform improvements, the Android voice migration to gateway side synthesis, there's a call log search, there's SMS search, and there's camera memory leak fixed. The Telegram platform, there is now a custom bot API with endpoints for self-hosted deployments. There's auto-generated topic names for DM forums. There's silent error replies. As for Matrix, the complete plugin rewrite on the official Matrix SDK, which is not a patch and it's a ground up rebuild. So if Matrix is your channel, this is a fresh start. So as for Discord, the Carbon reconcile for native commands allows it to restart, to stop churning /commands, and there's strict DM component auth. And as for WhatsApp, there's a reconnect fix, there's an active listener singleton, and also pairing fix for Bailey feedback. So let me put this into perspective side by side with the 3.13 versus 3.22. So as for breaking changes, it's 0 to 12. Security fixes, there's 3 to 30 plus. Stability patches, 70 plus to 100 plus. New model providers, 0 to 7. Web search plugins, 0 to 3. Plugin source, npm to ClawHub. Gateway cold start, 30 seconds to under 3. The default agent timeout is 10 minutes to 48 hours. And the contributors about 10 to over 80. So there's 80 plus contributors on a single release. So this community is becoming something very real. So what you should do now, well, one is to update to 3.23. The hotfix will resolve the packaging bugs, and then just run OpenClaw Doctor after updating to catch any stale config. Step number 2 is to migrate your plugins. If you're a plugin developer, move to OpenClaw Plugin SDK now, and the old extension API is gone. And step number 3 is to clean up the legacy environment variables. If CloudBot or Molebot variables exist anywhere in your configs, scripts, or Docker files, just remove them. They're no longer recognized and will silently fail. Step 4 is to explore ClawHub, run the OpenClaw skill search, and browse. The ecosystem is small but growing fast. And finally, step 5 is to set per agent thinking levels. So if you're running multiple agents, this is free money, the orchestrator on high, sub-agents on low, and your token bill will drop drastically and your speed will go up. Okay, so finally the 3.22 version is quite messy and the packaging bugs shouldn't have shipped. But underneath that, the architectural direction is exactly right, and ClawHub gives the plugin ecosystem a real home. So the security hardening makes complete sense and it's viable for production. The performance gains make self-hosting less painful, and the model flexibility means you can build agent setups that actually make economic sense. So like and subscribe if this has saved you time. Drop a comment if you're hitting issues and I'll try to respond, and I'll see you in the next one.